It was a brisk Saturday afternoon in Eastbridge, a bustling city where the local mall served as a central hub for youth, families, and shoppers from across the suburbs. The sun dipped lazily behind gray clouds, casting a soft light on the glass-domed roof of Westward Mall. Inside, the energy was high. Laughter bounced from the food court, and footsteps echoed off polished tiles. Jaden Carter, a 17-year-old teen with a quiet demeanor and an easy smile, wandered through the mall with his best friend, Malik. Dressed in a simple hoodie, jeans, and sneakers, Jaden looked like any other teen out for the weekend. But Jaden wasn't just any teenager. He was the only son of Eastbridge's recently elected mayor, Evelyn Carter. He kept that fact to himself. He liked being judged for who he was, not for who his mother was. The two friends stopped by the electronics store, laughing as they tried out the latest virtual reality headset. Then they made their way to the food court. Jaden pulled out his phone to check his messages while Malik grabbed them a table. A moment later, a voice barked behind him. "Hey, you, what are you doing here?" Jaden turned, startled. A mall security guard flanked by a uniformed Eastbridge police officer stood with arms crossed. The officer was Sergeant Kyle Rourke, tall, broad-shouldered, mid-40s, known for his tough attitude and lack of patience. "Just texting my friend," Jaden replied calmly. "Don't get smart with me," Rourke snapped. "We've had reports of suspicious activity from kids fitting your description. Empty your pockets." Jaden hesitated. "Sir, I didn't do anything." "You don't get to argue. Do it now." Shoppers nearby slowed, watching the scene unfold. Malik returned, confused. "What's going on?" Rourke motioned for him to back away. "This doesn't concern you." Jaden sighed and complied, emptying his pockets. A phone, some gum, a receipt. Nothing unusual. But Rourke wasn't satisfied. He ordered Jaden to stand against the wall and proceeded to pat him down. "You got any weapons? Drugs? You hiding something?" Jaden shook his head, growing nervous. "No, sir. I told you, I'm just here with my friend." The officer's grip tightened. "I know your type. You think you can just loiter and cause trouble. We keep this place safe by keeping people like you in line." A crowd had gathered now. Phones were raised. Whispers filled the air. Malik recorded the incident, heart pounding. Jaden looked over at him, his expression a mixture of frustration and fear. "What's your name?" Rourke demanded. Jaden hesitated. Then, softly, "Jaden Carter." "Spell it." He did. Rourke radioed in the name. There was a pause. Then the voice on the other end said, "Rourke, you better stop. That kid's the mayor's son." The blood drained from Rourke's face. By Sunday morning, the video had gone viral. News outlets were already spinning up stories. "Teen harassed by officer in mall identified as mayor's son," read the headlines. The city erupted in debate. Mayor Evelyn Carter stood at the podium, eyes cold, voice composed. "No child, regardless of who they are or where they come from, should be subjected to humiliation and profiling in public. My son's experience is not unique, and that is exactly why it cannot be ignored." She paused. "I'm calling for an independent investigation into the actions of Sergeant Rourke and a broader review of our police conduct policy." Behind closed doors, the police chief met with Rourke. "You have no idea the firestorm you've kicked off." "I didn't know who he was," Rourke muttered. "That's the problem, Kyle. You didn't need to know. What matters is how you treated him." Rourke was placed on administrative leave. Jaden, meanwhile, found himself thrust into a spotlight he never wanted. Reporters hounded him outside school. Students whispered in hallways. Some supported him. Others accused him of leveraging his mom's title. One afternoon, Jaden confronted his mother. "Why does everyone care now? This kind of thing happens to kids like me every day. If I weren't your son, nobody would know." Evelyn looked heartbroken. "You're right. That has to change. But we start with truth. And your story is the truth." The city council opened a public forum. Testimonies poured in, stories from Black and brown youth, mistreated in malls, parks, and schools. Some were tearful, some were angry. Jaden took the stage at one session. Hands trembling, he spoke from the heart. "I never wanted to be a symbol. I just wanted to hang out with my friend. But what happened to me showed me how easy it is to become a target. We need officers who protect, not intimidate. We need respect, not fear." His words were met with thunderous applause. Meanwhile, Rourke faced mounting pressure. Privately, he wrestled with shame, defensiveness, confusion. He'd grown up seeing the world in black and white. He thought he was doing his job, but now he saw the faces of those he dismissed, the fear in their eyes. One evening, he knocked on a door. Evelyn Carter answered. Behind her, Jaden looked up. "Can I speak to your son?" Rourke asked. Jaden stepped forward. Rourke removed his hat. "I was wrong. About you. About a lot of things. I can't change what I did, but I want to learn from it. If you'll let me." Jaden nodded slowly. "It starts with listening." Months passed. Eastbridge launched a community policing initiative, mandating racial bias training and establishing a youth advisory board. Jaden joined as a student representative. He sat across from officers, including Rourke, who returned to duty with a changed outlook and a more mindful approach. In a final town hall, Evelyn Carter spoke again. "Change doesn't come from power alone. It comes from pain, from truth, and from the courage of our youth." She smiled at her son, seated beside Malik. "Our city is watching, and it's learning." Jaden walked the familiar halls of Eastbridge High School, no longer just the mayor's son, but a symbol of youth leadership and integrity. Teachers treated him with a mix of pride and protection, but he remained grounded. Malik was still his closest confidant, their friendship stronger than ever. The Youth Advisory Board began implementing programs, dialogue circles between teens and officers, ride-alongs, and mentorship sessions. Jaden co-led one of the first sessions, facilitating a deep, raw discussion about fear, trust, and the future of community safety. Sergeant Rourke attended every one. He didn't speak much at first. He listened. One day, after a long session, Rourke approached Jaden. "You said this started with listening. You were right. And now, I want to help others listen too." Jaden nodded. "Then let's build something that lasts." The program soon gained statewide attention, even attracting grants and press coverage. Other cities sent representatives to learn from Eastbridge's reforms. Mayor Carter invited community leaders from neighboring districts, sharing their blueprint for equitable policing and youth engagement. As the school year neared its end, Jaden stood once more at the podium, this time at a graduation ceremony. "We are the bridge," he said, voice steady, "between the mistakes of the past and the hope of the future. If we want a better world, it begins with us, not waiting for change, but being the ones who lead it." Thunderous applause erupted. The story of Eastbridge's transformation began to ripple far beyond its borders. Jaden received an invitation to speak at a National Youth Justice Summit in Washington, D.C. Hesitant at first, he eventually agreed, knowing it was a chance to inspire broader change. Standing before a diverse audience of students, activists, and lawmakers, Jaden shared not just his story, but the collective story of marginalized youth in America. "Real safety," he said, "doesn't come from fear. It comes from understanding, from equality, and from leadership that includes all voices." His speech was met with standing ovation. News outlets covered it. Social media lit up. Hashtag spread. Jaden's quiet strength had become a beacon. Back home, not everyone celebrated the changes. A small but vocal group of critics, including some local politicians and police union representatives, argued that the reforms undermined authority and encouraged disrespect for law enforcement. Flyers circulated. Op-eds ran. A protest was organized outside City Hall. Mayor Carter stood firm. "We are not anti-police. We are pro-accountability. And anyone who's afraid of accountability has something to hide." Jaden faced cyberbullying. One night, Malik found him staring at his phone, silent. "They want to wear you down," Malik said. "But you didn't start this for applause. You started it for every kid who's still afraid to go to the mall." Jaden nodded, resolve returning. At a youth town hall, a soft-spoken girl named Amira stood to speak. "When I saw your video, Jaden, I saw myself. I didn't think anyone would ever listen to girls like me." Her words sparked something. Jaden and Malik invited Amira to join the board. Soon, more students came forward. Latino youth, LGBTQ teens, Muslim students. Their stories expanded the mission beyond policing to education, representation, and equality. Jaden learned to step back and let others lead. His legacy wasn't just his voice, it was the platform he helped build. Sergeant Rourke requested to lead the department's new mentorship program. At first, eyebrows raised, but he insisted. "Give me a year," he told the chief. "If I haven't earned their trust, I'll step down." He worked closely with teens, opening up about his own biases, his rigid upbringing, and how that had shaped his views. Some youth were skeptical, but others, like Amira, saw his sincerity. "You owning your past doesn't erase it," she told him, "but makes you human." And that's where change begins. By year's end, Rourke had become one of the most respected mentors in the program. Jaden received his college acceptance letter, political science at Howard University. The advisory board held a celebration, full of laughter, tears, and pride. Mayor Carter embraced her son. "I came into office wanting to change the city, but you changed the heart of it." On Jaden's last day before leaving for college, the city unveiled a new community center, the Carter Youth Leadership Institute. Its mission, to empower young voices, foster unity, and build bridges. Jaden cut the ribbon with Malik and Amira at his side. In his final speech as board leader, he said, "We didn't fix everything, but we started something that will outlive us." That's what leadership is, planting seeds you may never see bloom. As the crowd cheered, Rourke stood in the back, applauding with quiet pride. Jaden looked around one last time at the city he helped reshape. Then he smiled, took a breath, and walked forward into his future. At Howard University, Jaden entered a world bursting with ideas, history, and ambition. His reputation had followed him, and students, professors, and activists alike were eager to collaborate. Yet the transition was overwhelming. Without his usual support network, Jaden struggled to balance coursework, new relationships, and the pressure to keep leading movements. In one late-night phone call with Malik, he admitted, "I feel like I can't be just a student. Everyone expects the next big thing." "You don't owe anyone a revolution," Malik said. "You already started one. Now learn everything you can, so the next one's even better." Back in Eastbridge, Amira took over as chair of the Youth Advisory Board. She was determined, strategic, and brave. With Malik as her co-chair, they formed a new youth-led organization, the Watchdog Alliance. Its mission went beyond policing, now focused on tracking public policies, budget transparency, and school equity. They organized town halls, published reports, and created an app for reporting citywide issues. Mayor Carter supported them fully, granting office space in City Hall and regular briefings with department heads. The city had never seen youth so central to governance. When a tragic incident occurred in a neighboring city, another teen profiled and arrested, Jaden was called upon once more. He returned home briefly to speak at a statewide justice summit, where he reunited with Amira and Malik. Together, they hosted workshops and panels, teaching other cities how to implement Eastbridge's model. One local mayor pulled Jaden aside. "What you built here, it's what our cities need. But how do we make it last?" Jaden responded, "You let young people lead, not just advise." Led. Sergeant Rourke had now become one of the loudest voices for police reform in the region. He traveled to academies to train new recruits on community-centered policing, drawing from his own failures and growth. He spoke openly about the mall incident, showing the video during his sessions. "If we can't admit our mistakes, we're not protecting anyone, especially not ourselves." Officers respected his candor. His classes became mandatory statewide, and he began mentoring other veteran officers struggling with the evolving culture. At a ceremony marking 5 years of Eastbridge reform, Rourke stood beside Jaden, Amira, and Mayor Carter, holding back tears. "You all saved me from being the man I didn't want to become." Years later, Jaden, now a policy advisor in Washington, D.C., returned to Eastbridge for a surprise dedication. The city had renamed the Westward Mall Plaza where the incident first occurred. It was now called Carter Square. A plaque read, "In honor of youth who spoke truth to power and helped reshape our city's soul." Children played nearby. Jaden spotted a group of teens leading a community art project under a mural that read, "Justice starts with respect." Amira, now an elected city council member, greeted him with a hug. "You started it," she whispered. Jaden looked out over the plaza and smiled. "No, We did. Jaden, Malik, and a few fellow board members walked out into the summer sunlight. Kids played in the park, officers greeted families, and a new mural on the side of the mall read, "Justice starts with respect." Jaden looked up at it and smiled. The city had changed, and so had he. See you next video.